तो समर में पानी का महत्व हमें समर में बहुत धूप में बहुत पता चलता है, क्योंकि जब भी बहुत गर्मी होती है तो हमें हमें we actually experience the thirst, right? We experience the thirst to have water. So and whenever the heat becomes more and we feel very much tired, we want nothing but only water. So just by taking this water, we feel we become satisfied. So this Prabhupada compares this water. Even in Bhagavatam, there is a verse which says about it. This Krishna consciousness is like the water. So this is the one which can actually fulfill our thirst of suffering. So Prabhupada compares this water to the completeness of satisfaction. So just like Prabhupada gives the example of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj was actually he was actually filled with material desires when he actually took up to Krishna consciousness. And through the contact of his spiritual master Narada Muni, when he actually surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and then when Lord appeared in front of him, like all his desires vanished, and he completely said, I am now completely satisfied just by seeing you. So this Krishna consciousness is like this, just like a water you have when you are thirsty, how you feel satisfied. Similarly, just by taking the shelter of the Lord, one becomes actually very satisfied. So Prabhupada says this soul, if you see our soul, our Atma, actually there is nothing called as favorable or unfavorable condition for this soul. So generally in our life, we sometimes feel that sometimes life is very favorable, sometimes Krishna is very favorable, doing this thing is very favorable for me, doing that thing is not very favorable for me. And sometimes we say this person is very favorable, this person is not very favorable. But Prabhupada says for a soul, nothing is favorable or nothing is unfavorable. For soul, everything is actually same only. So for whom is this favorable and unfavorable condition actually affecting to? So Prabhupada says it is nothing but our mind. So our mind is actually influencing various things that goes on in our life, and it interprets something as favorable and something as unfavorable. But for soul, nothing is favorable and nothing is unfavorable. For soul, for mind is what actually creates these two situations. So for us to be peaceful, it is very important to control the mind. So we have seen in various classes how we control our mind. So that's why Prabhupada says we should know first our position. So what is our position? Jivere Swarupa Nitya Krishna Das. So when we know that we are the servants, then we can understand servant of Krishna, then we can actually become peaceful. So how we can become peaceful? So again, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasya Sarvaloke Maheshwara Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Gnatva Mam Shanti Rachatam. So this is the formula. Prabhupada also says this. So one who knows that the Bhoktaram, the real enjoyer of all the activities in this material world, is actually Krishna. So it's very difficult to accept this. Say for example, Prabhu says this example, like for example, if you are constructing a house and then you actually pay for the labor, you pay for the engineer, you pay for the all the work that is being carried out, and then if the person says, whoever is working, actually the person who is working very hard to build your house, he says this house belongs to me, will you accept it? You don't accept it, right? So we say why we don't accept it, because we say that we have paid for you, whatever work we have paid for you, and whatever ingredients that is required to build the house, I am the person who have given you. So similarly, this material activity, in this material world, we are carrying so many activities, but if you see who is the real supplier, actually it is Krishna. Krishna is the one who is actually supplying everything, and he is actually ensuring that we are actually being properly taken care of. So if you see the real enjoyer or real owner of this material world is actually Krishna. But what we think is, because we are putting so much of work, because we are doing so much of activity, we are actually the real owner. And then when we start thinking like that, then we become like the servants of the senses. So that is when that is the position which is causing us suffering. So Prabhupada says it is very, very important to know our position. And that's how this Krishna conscious helps us. But uh, why are we not able to identify ourselves as a super soul? What is that is actually what is that as a soul? Why are we not able to identify us, or why are we not able to see the super soul who is present within our heart? What is actually making us not to see this? So in that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very nicely says this in Shikshastakam. So, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, he says. So what is the meaning of Cheto Darpana Marjanam? So so in the book of Japa, if you see there, Purijandas Prabhu actually nicely explains what is this Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So Cheto Darpana Marjanam means actually, Cheto means heart, and Darpana means mirror, Marjana means cleanses. So this chanting of the holy name, it is actually clearing the heart, which is like a mirror. That Marjana means actually it is cleansing. So, but why is this cleansing required? Because Prabhu says that because we have taken so many births, birth after birth, we are taking so many births we have taken, that our consciousness is actually filled with lot of dust. And we don't know so many births we have taken. Out of all these births, our consciousness is filled with so much dust, dirt, material desire, and unlimited other material impressions are actually in the mirror of our heart. The mirror is actually completely buried with so many things filled in our heart. So it is like he compares that this is like a mirror which is filled with actually around 30 kilometers of dust. Just imagine you have a mirror, and that mirror is completely filled with 30 kilometers of dust. So that is like our heart. So uh, if we look into that mirror, what we will see? We will see only dust, right? So that is what is actually happening to us. We actually see ourselves only through material consciousness, because it is filled with only this consciousness, material things and dust. And we act based on what we perceive. Whatever we see, the dust we see, and we actually act as per that. So it means the dirt in the heart is reacting only with itself. So we are actually seeing the heart, and actually the heart is filled with dust, and we are acting according to that dust, whatever we are seeing. So who we are actually becomes very unperceivable. So this is the reason why we are actually becoming the servant of the senses instead of becoming servant of the uh, servant of Krishna. So what is that we have to see? What is that we have to see? We have to actually perceive our real self. So for that, we have to cleanse our heart. So how this cleansing can be done, how this dust can be removed, that we will further discuss in our coming classes. So why it is very, very important to understand is that only when we cleanse the dust that is filled in our heart, only then when can we see ourselves, and only then can we see the Lord. And only when we understand very nice, only when we completely understand that Krishna is actually the supreme enjoyer of all the things that is there in this material, world and spiritual world, only then can we attain this peace. Only then our thirst can be satisfied. So Krishna consciousness is just like that water that can actually satisfy our thirst thirstiness of that is actually caused by the heat of the sun. So similarly, if you want to be really satisfied in this material world, better thing is actually to take the shelter of the Lord. But taking the shelter of Lord blindly will not help us. So we should understand why we are taking shelter of the Lord. And then when we are able to digest these things properly, then we can actually completely surrender onto the Lord. And then the real Krishna consciousness actually appears in our heart. So we'll see how how the cleansing of the dirt within our heart helps us, what happens actually during this process gradually. So that we will discuss in our things. So we should know that chanting of the holy names of the Lord is the only process that can actually clean up this 30 kilometers of dust that is filled in our heart. And we are in the process of cleaning it, and it takes time, right? So we have to very patiently wait, and then a moment will come where we'll really feel that satisfaction. So I'll stop here in the interest of time. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving opportunity. Hare Krishna.